Hi. Cat, what are you doing? I'm trying to do a show. Why are you being like this? She's decided it's cold and she wants to curl up in my lap. Alright. I got my coffee now. Here we go. In 3, 2, 1. Good morning, everybody. Welcome. Today is Thursday, June 4th, 2020. My name is Jeremy, and this is my first cup of coffee. It's good. It's smooth. I'll tell you why in a minute. Alright, so I've mentioned a couple times that I purchased a new coffee grinder, but I had not used it yet because I wanted to use up the coffee I had already ground. Come sit. This is a burr grinder, and I've been reading about it. And you can get very, very fancy versions of these, electric ones that cost hundreds, if not thousands of dollars, but I didn't want that. I said, let's test the concept first. So you got this little thing with the crank, you put the beans in the top and you grind it. It comes out the bottom. And I can show you. Here's how it works. So you got a couple ceramic plates, and I can loosen this to make bigger or smaller grounds. So there are burrs on that ceramic plate, and it squishes up against the other plate. But what it does is it gives you consistent sized grounds. In fact, I was really surprised when I used it. They were very consistent. And if you use an electric grinder, you take a look at those grounds. You'll have little bits that end up going through the filter, and then you'll have bigger chunks, which obviously are far too big. And because I use this, what is basically a tea strainer, to make my coffee, it means that the smaller pieces pass through, and she's being very strange this morning. The little pieces pass through and you end up drinking them. That's not very tasty. You want to say hi? Okay, let go. Let go. Sit. And so this was just something I was interested in because I do find a lot of sediment at the bottom of my coffee, and I didn't like it, and I wanted to see what to do. Now the downside to this thing with the hand crank is that it takes forever. Not forever. It took a couple minutes to grind enough coffee for a cup, the way I make it. So I would imagine if you're making a pot of coffee, that's going to take forever in that thing. If I continue using it and really like it, I will probably get an electric one at some point. A decent electric one's $40 to $50. And then I'll demote my other coffee grinder to nuts and herbs and things like that. But I gotta say, it's a good cup of coffee. It's better. Is it hugely better? No. My coffee before was good, but it's better. It's worth it. What do you think, Kat? She's well, she's not mad at me. She's irritated. So due to the pandemic, the cat food that she eats was unavailable. She's been on a raw food diet for several years now. And we started with turkey, and all of a sudden one day she didn't like turkey anymore. So we switched to chicken and salmon. That's what she's been on for probably a year or two, 2 years, 3 years. I don't know how long it's been. And her health has improved. And I haven't messed with it because she's a very picky eater. Well, all of a sudden, nobody had the chicken and salmon. So, what did we get you? We got you duck, which she loved. She liked it more than the chicken and salmon. And venison, which she's not really fond of. And they did have freeze-dried chicken and salmon, which even reconstituting it, she's like, I don't want anything to do with this. So I'm going to go to the store today and see if we can find some more duck. Right? Why don't you go lay on your side of the couch? Just got a blanket over there. Well, I think that's enough talk about coffee and cats. So let's talk about martial arts. I'm starting to see some schools open. People look really excited. I'm seeing gyms open. And I'm getting pumped. It looks like things are starting to come back to normal. Excuse me. I coached what should be my last class over Zoom last night. My last CrossFit class over Zoom. Next week we start in-person classes. And I'm seeing some of the gyms around here open. And we've got martial arts classes opening. You know, as long as they can maintain the social distance thing, seems like everybody's good to go. So I'm pumped about that. I think everybody else is pumped about that too. We've weathered the storm. Not everyone. There are plenty of people who aren't going to go back. Plenty of schools that aren't going to reopen. And that's a real bummer. It's really sad. And it shows how fragile the industry can be. And some of that is due to the inherent personality of martial arts instructors wanting to do their own thing their own way and not being willing to look at business advice from other people. I see it. I see it all the time, even among friends I have that own schools. They just don't see the connection between what and how they run their school and student retention and everything else. Oh, it's getting better. How is that possible? It's smoother. It's a very good cup of coffee. Yeah, this is substantial. And this is why I like working with martial arts schools, because due to what I do, the fact that I've had a school, whistlekick, my there's no modest way to say this, nearly 4 decades of training, people tend to listen to me a little bit more than they might, a general business consultant or something. If I could fill my client roster with martial arts schools, I would. I mean, I enjoy working with other businesses because I learn things, but if I had to pick, yeah, I'd be working exclusively with martial arts schools. So if any of you out there know a martial arts school who could use some help with their marketing and their business and some coaching, let me know. I'll work with them. Got one more who's coming on. I'm excited for that. And it was a referral from another martial arts school, so yay. Some good stuff we can do. Now, what's going on today? Today was supposed to be my day outside to plant things. You probably heard me talk about that last week. I don't know how much planting I'm getting done today. There is so much stuff that is built up this week, work-wise. When I planned that, there was nothing on the calendar for today. I freed it up. Not happening. It's not free. Now, the first thing that I'm working on today, I'm very, very excited about. Let's see. Should I tell you? That's not secret. Okay. So those of you who are aware of Martial Journal, martialjournal.com, but BT-dub, if you want to write, let me know. We need more writers over there. We always need more writers. It's a really cool project. It's entirely free. No advertising. In fact, I don't even think the whistlekick name appears anywhere on it. We did that intentionally. But how are we monetizing that? How are we moving that forward? With a print magazine. But here's the thing. That print magazine is going to be completely free. It will be sent to your house for free. How are we doing that? We're funding it with advertising. Now, there are a lot of details. There are lots and lots of pieces about this that I can't share with you. The concept of a ad-supported magazine, not unique. But there are half a dozen things in here that are unique. And so today, one of my jobs because I'm working with someone else on this, like I do with everything else in Whistlekick. Find somebody that wants to partner on a certain aspect. I am putting together the mock-up, what we're calling issue 0. It'll be a 16-page magazine that we can use when we go to advertisers and writers and say, hey, this is what we're doing. Stacy says, cannot wait. Good, Stacy, because I already planned on you doing photography. Stacy is a wonderful photographer, if anyone is unaware. She takes great photos. She doesn't take pictures, she takes photos. I don't think you've ever made that distinction, Stacy, but I do, because I know. It's only half sarcastic, because I know a lot of photographers hate the term picture. And I'm just going to be taking content from martialjournal.com and laying it out and kind of generalizing the format just to show people what this will look like, because we need something to show them. And yes, there will be the print version, but there will also be a digital version. It's going to be great. It really is. It's going to be a wonderful thing. I'm really excited about it. The person I'm working with, Justin, is super excited about it. And every time we have a call every week or two as we work through new things and work through the numbers, because as you might imagine, in ad-supported magazine, you've got to have the numbers really tight, otherwise you're losing money. Both of us have remarked independently that the more we talk about this and the more we figure this out, the more exciting, the more it seems like we've really got something here. The question will be, are we ahead of the curve? A lot of my great ideas come 5 to 10 years too early. We'll see what happens. I was the first person I knew, the first business in IT that I knew that offered monthly computer repair contracts out of our store. I think it was $20 a month, unlimited service for a computer. $19.99. We were offering that to people who were coming in and spending $200, $300 at a pop, and they wouldn't do it. Okay. We sold none of them. And about 2 to 3 years later, the industry switched over to that. It's really, really funny. Oh well. I learned a lot putting it together. I'm a little more talkative than I have been in past mornings. Let's chalk it up to the good coffee. But other than that, what else is going on? I go to pick up my car today, the one that I dropped off Tuesday after the show. They finally finished. Supposedly all they were doing was pulling apart. My guess is they got in there and some things happened because my car is a disaster. And I got a call at like 4 o'clock yesterday when I was in the midst of other things, saw it at 4:30 and couldn't go. We're done with your car. They were pulling apart to get a number so they could order a part so they could replace it. Don't buy a Mazda. And then the rest of the day, I've got it planned out, but it's all work. I might get to plant a few things this late afternoon. That's the hope. And then I have a meeting tonight. Yay, meetings. Let's see what you all wrote in. Remember, if you've got something you want to say, something you want to ask, a quote, a comment, a quip, a story, drop it below. I'll answer it tomorrow. Come on, open up tablet. Not sure how I feel about the tripod being like this. Do that. I think I like that better. Forces me to keep my road closed. Oh, and we debuted. Okay, 2 things. So last night we debuted on YouTube Tuesday's episode of Whistlekick Live, so you can now watch that. If you prefer to listen, that's cool too. It'll show up in the podcast feed in a couple weeks. And it's Thursday, so there should be an episode. Let's make sure it's live before I say anything. Yeah. So this came out of a conversation at some point last week, week before. Fights to the death. I think this was Gabe's question. will we see fights to the death again? And after talking about it, I said, this would make a great topic. So I did some research, and you have an episode today on fights to the death, and you should check it out. Episode 507. And now, some questions, courtesy of Frank. Shout out to Frank. Tuesday, June 4th, 2020 is Hug Your Cat Day. It's also Dairy Month. What are some healthy dairy products? Dairy is such an interesting thing. It's so polarizing because people... Talk about a great analogy for the world right now. Dairy, for some people, is great. For some people, it's not. Depends on your genetics. Depends on, bottom line, where you came from in the world. For some of us, dairy's awesome. Others, it's basically toxic. That might be a little bit too strong a word, but it's not good, right? And because of that, you have people saying, dairy's terrible because it makes me feel bad. Well, dairy's terrible for you. Then you have other people saying, everyone should consume dairy because it makes me happy and feels good. It's good for you, right? I am someone who has, I would say, a very, very mild intolerance to dairy. I can drink plenty of it. I can eat cheese. Basically, any of your cultured dairy. Cheese, yogurt, raw milk I do better with. But I'm not so intolerant to it that I don't consume it. I don't drink milk too often, though I'm trying again because I'm trying to find ways to have more protein in my diet. And so I'm starting to put milk into my morning shake, my protein shake. I don't know if that came through on camera, but my stomach is grumbly. I think I'm already off track. Healthy dairy. Basically, if your body can tolerate dairy, you're looking at two ends of the spectrum. Either the rawest form you can get, like raw milk, or the cultured end. Anything fermented or cultured, right? Cheese requires enzymes. Yogurt requires bacteria. Once something gets processed like that, kind of naturally processed and preserved. Remember why cheese was invented and utilized, because it took milk and made it something that you could save. I think those are the best sources. There's a lot of calories in there, so we got to be careful. And remember, cheese activates the same part of the brain that heroin does. This is not a joke. Which is why cheese is amazing, and sometimes people sit down and eat way too much of it. What do you think of the so-called fake kinds of milk? Soy, almond, oat. For people that are lactose intolerant, they're great. There are a lot of benefits to alternative milks. I think the idea of saying that these are healthier is, in most cases, a misnomer, because, again, we go back to what is the most natural state. The closer to the natural state the food is, the healthier it is. Almonds, yeah, we can make all kinds of joke about where almond milk comes from. That's a joke that's been made by probably every comedian, and I find it ridiculous. But if it works for you, if it tastes good, that's cool. A lot of us consume our calories through liquids. Alcohol, soda, juice. When you take something like a nut milk, depending on how it's made, you're missing some stuff. Right? And they're expensive. Yeah. If the question is almond milk healthier for you than dairy, than cow's milk? Probably not. If you're lactose intolerant, yes. But if you're lactose intolerant, try goat's milk. Um, Goat's milk, for a lot of people, is a better choice. Goat's milk is closer to human milk. I wonder if we'll get to a point where human... I know you can buy human colostrum. It's something that is sold. It is available. But I wonder if just general human milk will ever be something that we consume. If we got over the icky factor, probably be good for us. And I bet it's a way that some people could make a lot of money. I bet it's happening somewhere. What do you think are the pros and cons of going dairy-free? Again, it has to do with how your body processes dairy. I believe everyone has, do I want to say everyone? Based on the reading I've done and talking to people, I think almost everyone has some intolerance to lactose. I can't be sure of this, but that's kind of my gut feeling. And going dairy-free will reduce some inflammation, assuming that is the case. How do you know? Pull dairy out of your diet for a couple weeks. How do you feel? Or, my favorite way of checking how your body responds to certain foods, wait a few hours, like 4 to 6 hours, and have just that one thing. Make a meal of it. How does your body respond? There are plenty of people, if they have 2 glasses of milk, they're running to the bathroom. Those are people that should probably not be having too much dairy. I know, for example, peanut butter is inflammatory to me. As soon as I have peanut butter, my gut blows up. Like, literally swells. I try not to have too much peanut butter, but I love peanut butter. I go through streaks with peanut butter. I recognize I shouldn't have it, but I like it. Cat's limping. It's the challenge of having a 20-year-old fuzzball. The cons of going dairy-free? Cheese. Cheese is delicious. Most of us like cheese, as I mentioned earlier. And it's hard to find things that... It's hard to be dairy-free, especially when you go out to eat. Right? If you're someone who's lactose intolerant, like severely lactose intolerant, you know how much of a challenge that is. A lot of foods have cheese, even a little bit of cheese. Pretty much any restaurant, you go to an Italian restaurant, there's going to be cheese on things. You go to a Mexican restaurant, there's going to be cheese on things. Because most of us recognize that dairy is a good source of protein, it's inexpensive, and it tends to make things tastier, we've incorporated it into most cuisines throughout the world. Would you lay down? Being very weird. Here, I'm going to hug a cat. It's Hug a Cat Day. Lay down. I've gone dairy-free periodically. Oh. Are you willing to hug your cat on the show for Hug Your Cat Day? I just did, but I'll do it again. She's purring. Can you hear this? Let go. Let go of my robe. She is the most photogenic animal I've ever known. Ow! What are you doing? Good stuff today. I like talking about the nutrition stuff. There's a book brewing that I'm part of a group on Facebook where somebody was asking about meal prep, and they said I'm struggling with meal prep, and I was like, here are my 5 points. I'll leave it. Is it 5? Somehow I just turned the television on. Here are my like 5 points to meal prep. Get a chest freezer. Make like 6, 8, 16 meals at a time. Make big batches. Don't put in the seasonings. Do those later because you'll get bored, and you can vary it at the end. Prioritize protein, and store them in the freezer, and put the date and roughly what it is, maybe on some masking tape. And then when you reheat them, if you're taking them, because most of us don't work in the home, frying pan, a little bit of water, cover it, and basically you steam it, even from frozen. If you rotate them through, put them in the fridge a couple days before, they'll generally thaw in time. But steam it, it'll break down. Throw a variety, throw a sauce in there. Throw soy sauce in one day. Throw barbecue sauce in another day, and it keeps you from getting bored. And then throw those in a call it a thermos, but like a flask, hydro flask. Makes them. Stanley makes them. There are a number of them, and you can get them on Amazon for $20 to $30. And if you really want them to last through the day, fill them with hot water while you're making the food, and then pour out the hot water, which bonus will help you clean your sink. And then you throw the food in there. And even by the time 3, 4 o'clock rolls around, if it's a good flask, it'll still be warm. So all of that is going to get turned into a book. You just got the cliff notes. Right, Kat? Now, I'm going to go jump in the shower, call the car dealer and see if they're okay with me showing up at like 11 o'clock to get my car, so I can do a couple errands while I'm out there. And if so, well, either way, before or after, I'm going to go work on what we're calling issue 0 of the print version of Marshall Journal. So thanks for coming by. Thanks for watching. And if you want to support the work that we do at Whistlekick, a lot of things you can do. You can make sure you go check out today's episode. You could of Martial Arts Radio. You could share it. You could contribute to the Patreon. Patreon.com/whistlekick. Patreon.com/whistlekick. Or use the code FIRSTCUP15 when you make a purchase at whistlekick.com. That could be one of the programs, strength and conditioning, speed. I think next week I'm going to start on the new program. We released the next version of the strength conditioning program earlier this week. We're up to 1.02. I just keep tweaking it, making better. And the next version of speed will come out. The updated version of speed will come out in a week or two. These programs are doing well. I'm happy with them. So, all right, everybody. I hope you have a great day. Drop me some questions. I'll respond to them tomorrow. See you later. Peace.